Now, I've made a few changes since the last time I showed you my team on a video, and here is my latest draft. Okay, before I get into the team itself, I just wanted to advertise the Golden Goal Mini League. The code is there, and I'll leave a link to it in the description as well. Prize, if you win, is a Golden Goal branded mug. You can probably see it below in like my store. I'll give you one of those and a packet of biscuits of your choice. Okay, so I'm going to talk through my booster strategy again. It's not changed since my previous videos, to be completely honest with you. I'm looking to wildcard in match day 3. You know, I would imagine some of the stronger teams will have already won their group at that point, or at least already be through to the knockout stages, and I'd expect them to rotate. My team is going to be made up of a lot of those stronger teams, and I will probably need to sell quite a lot of my players. So I think it makes sense to use the wild card at that point. The 12th man chip, I'm probably going to use this in match day 1. And this team, in fact, does have a 12th man in it. Little spoiler alert. I just think the captaincy for match day 1 is a little bit easier. For example, the biggest gulf in opposition during the group stages in terms of team quality and rating is Bayern Munich versus Auckland City. And that is Bayern Munich's match day 1 fixture. So in my mind, that would lead me to thinking the best captain of the entire group stage, on paper at least, is Harry Kane versus Auckland City. That's in match day 1, so I don't think I need the maximum captain on that week. So I think I'm going to go for 12th man, and I might use it to pick an extra Bayern Munich player. Maximum captain, I think I'm going to use in match day 2, purely because of that reason. I think Kane is the strongest captain for match day 1. So yeah, without thinking too deeply, I don't think it needs much more thought than this, to be honest. You know, if you think more deeply, I think you paralyze yourself with analysis, basically. So yeah, that's my booster strategy. Next up, then, we've got the groups, and everything is confirmed now. LAFC won their playoff against Club America, so they have entered Group D in place of Leon. So Group D is now Flamengo, Tunis, Chelsea, and LAFC. The reason I wanted to look at the groups is because I wanted to pull out teams that I think, well, they've got relatively strong groups, right? Porto, I think, are an example of a team with a strong group. PSG and Atletico Madrid with each other in their group puts me off either of those teams a little bit. I think Bayern Munich, just because they've got Auckland City first up, are a strong team to go for. I really like Chelsea's group. I really like Inter Milan's group. I think they will probably be on a little bit of a hunt for resurgence after the Champions League final. So I think they'll be in a good mental place for playing well in the tournament. Not necessarily a good mental place at the moment, but I think it will motivate them to play well. I really like Dortmund's group as well. And to be fair, I don't mind Real Madrid's group either. So looking at the groups, strongest teams with the best groups, I'm looking at Madrid. I'm looking at Dortmund. I'm looking at Inter Milan. I'm looking at Chelsea. I'm looking at Bayern Munich. And I'm looking at Porto. Those teams, I think, have some really good groups. Okay, quick look at the defence then. So I've gone for Neuer and Marchesant as my goalkeeping double up. Logic for picking Neuer is, like I said, the biggest gulf between two teams during the group stages is Bayern Munich versus Auckland City. You got to think, if it's the biggest gulf between two teams in the entire competition, that probably means Bayern Munich should be keeping a clean sheet, right? So with that logic, I've gone for Neuer. I did previously have Kobel, the Dortmund goalkeeper, and Armani, but they played on the same day, which created a little bit of difficulty. So I've gone for Marchesant. There are essentially, right, there are two goalkeepers at, well, 4 and 4.1 million respectively that look like they're going to play for their respective clubs and are decent, right? That's Marchesant and Armani. I've gone for Marchesant because I don't want a fixture clash, basically two players playing on the same day. I want to be able to pick, you know, if Neuer plays on the first day, doesn't do so well, which I highly doubt, but if that does happen, I can always go for Marchesant as like a backup. In terms of my defence then, I've got Dumfries, who I think is by far and away the best Inter defender. I think pretty much every time I see Dumfries play for Inter, he has a chance, a genuine chance to be able to score a goal. So yeah, I really like him. And then I've gone for Pavard, which on the face of it might be quite an interesting decision, but, sorry, I just flicked through two screens there. I really like this scouting bonus point system. And also, when I look at the Inter defence, other option being DiMarco, who I've had in my team previously, DiMarco is prone to an early substitution, sometimes before 60 minutes. And, well, you don't get your clean sheet in this game if your defender doesn't play more than 60 minutes. So, with that in mind, I'm a little bit worried he gets subbed off before a clean sheet is locked in. And Pavard's going to score 2 extra points on top of any other interval. 2 extra points because of his ownership if he does keep a clean sheet. So I quite like the thought of having that in my team. I've gone for Guardiola. I could go again for a differential Man City defender for those 2 extra points, but I just think I look at Man City and I think they've got a good group. Guardiola, we all know what he's like from an attacking point of view. Yeah, I can't really ignore Guardiola. So yeah, I've gone for him. In terms of another defender, well, similar to the goalkeepers, Francisco Moura, right? He's 4.1 million. He's played 43 times for Porto this season, scoring 4 goals, 17 assists, and 12 clean sheets. So if you add that up, that's 17 attacking returns plus 12 clean sheets. So across this season for Porto, in terms of fantasy football returns, that's 29 returns from 43 starts. And the guy is 4.1 million in this game. So, I mean, what more could you want? I think Francisco Moura looks to be really good value at 4.1 million. I think he's probably the best cheap defender in the game, isn't he? Going back to that scouting bonus points then, you get 2 extra points if your player is selected by 5% or fewer than 5% of teams, right? Well, I did have Ryerson in my draft previously. I picked him because I thought Dortmund had a really good group. And I'm looking here and I see a guy called Svensson who plays fullback, much like Ryerson. He takes corners, which I believe Ryerson doesn't. His numbers this season have been okay. What's that? 1 goal, 3 assists, 2 clean. Not bad. But I think the clean sheet numbers for Dortmund should go up due to the quality of their group. And he's 3% owned. So for every return, every clean sheet, every game that he scores 4 more points, he gets two extra points, which Ryerson won't because of Ryerson's ownership. I do think this sort of low percent owned player's bonus point could become quite powerful, particularly, when you've got a position like my team where you're picking defenders from good teams. There's going to be multiple options from these good teams, right? You could, if you wanted to use the bonus points, you could pick, for example, Akanji instead of Guardiola. You could, I've already done Svensson instead of Ryerson, and I've done Pavard for Inter. So that could be one of the pieces of logic you use when picking your teams. Okay, on to my midfield then. I've gone for Julian Brandt, who had a fantastic end to his season for Dortmund. I think 6.5 million is a good price for him. He's one of Dortmund's sort of star attacking players. They've got a really good group, and like I said, he had a really good end to his season in terms of attacking returns. I think it was 6 and 6 in his last 6 games. I've gone for Enzo Fernandez because I think, well, he offers a good balance of potentially getting some tackles, potentially getting some attacking returns, and Chelsea have got a really good group. I remember playing the Euros fantasy game last year. Players that were really good in that game, one of them namely was Fabian Ruiz of Spain, a midfielder that played in a somewhat advanced role, similar to what Enzo Fernandez does to Chelsea, one that gets really stuck in and involved in the game, exactly what Enzo Fernandez does for Chelsea, which means he can pick up tackles and also potentially get some attacking returns. The balance of those two, I think, makes him a great asset in this team. In this game, particularly at 6.2 million. Mastan Tuono of River Plate has put up some absolutely fantastic numbers. I think his popularity in the game is only going up and up. 4.3 million. I think it was something like 17 returns across this season for River Plate. He did really well, basically. But unfortunately, he is on the radar of quite a lot of top clubs. And right now, it looks like Paris Saint-Germain and Real Madrid are both competing, I was trying to get words out there, for his signature. So that is something to be a little bit worried about, I think, the competition for his signature and potentially leaving River Plate before the tournament starts. There is another player, Rodrigo Moura, I believe his name is, of Porto, who comes in at 4.2 million. Not quite as good in terms of numbers as Mastan Tuono, but fills a similar sort of hole. So if Mastan Tuono does leave, I think I'll just go for Rodrigo Moura. But if you've got Mastan Tuono, this is definitely something to keep your eye on. Now, you can see, if I just go back to my team a second, I've got Elise, right? And the decision basically I have to make is which, and I think quite a lot of people will make, given, Bayern Munich Auckland is a fixture to target, which of the Bayern Munich midfielders do you pick? There are 5 in the game who I think are genuinely pickable. Obviously, Elise, Musiala, Coman, Sane, and Gnabry. And what I've done here is I pulled off all of their numbers across this season. So the number of games they played, goals and assists. The clear leader in my mind is Elise. He's played the most games in 48, got the most goals in 17, and the most assists with 17 as well. 34 returns in 48 games. He's had a tremendous first season for Bayern Munich. The next best looks, in my opinion, to be Musiala. 15 goals, 5 assists for him. followed probably by Sane, then Gnabry, then Coman, in that sort of order. But for me, the outstanding two Bayern midfielders are Elise and Musiala. But unfortunately, in my team, I've only got room for one, so I've gone for Michael Elise. And then alongside him, Cole Palmer. I don't think Cole Palmer needs much more explanation. He's probably Chelsea's best player. Their talisman on penalties, free kicks, plays every game for 90 minutes. Might get the odd tackle here and there. Maybe not, though. But he is just Chelsea's best player. They've got a great group. I expect them to dominate the group, score a load of goals. And I think Palmer's going to be in the mix. So I think of all the midfielders in the game, actually, Palmer has a chance of being the best. I actually needed to think quite long and hard about who I picked up front. I've gone for Kane and Mbappe as it stands. I think Kane kind of picks himself for match day one. Now, it's the biggest gulf between two teams, as I've just said. I think he's the outstanding captain, so I think you've got to go for Kane. There was a bit of a debate in my mind between Haaland and Mbappe. I've gone for Mbappe. He did score more goals this season than Erling Haaland did, and his ownership is just ridiculous. And I think the thought of not having Mbappe and him doing well is worse than the thought of going without him and your differential pick doing well. I genuinely think you could be really punished if you don't have Mbappe, and he does really well. So I'm going to pick him. And then, well, it's a debate really. There's Agi Hauer, right, who is ridiculous. So he's 4.2 million, looks to be the starting number 9 for Porto. 25 goals this season, and he's 4.2 million. 25 goals from 39 starts. It looks like he's going to be the Porto first choice forward. He's also known as Samu, so if you want to search him up, find your stats yourself. The FIFA World Cup game has got him known as Agi Hauer, but quite a lot of, I think his nickname is Samu. Quite a lot of websites have him classed as that. So if you want to try and find him, maybe search the word Samu instead. But the question is, right, I wrote it on that slide. Do you go for him, or do you pick someone like Guirassy, who is a lot more expensive, but will probably score more goals in the tournament? I think by picking Agi Hauer, you're sacrificing a little bit in order to improve the rest of your team. But it's a question of, do you want to absolutely maximize the points potential of your forwards, or do you want to save a bit of cash for this guy and upgrade elsewhere? And right now, I'm of the mindset, I think the cash saving is just ridiculous, and I think you've kind of got to do it really. So with that in mind, I'm going for Agi Hauer and strengthening the rest of my team. And then I've got my 12th man active. I did say earlier on in the video that my chip strategy was to use, well, my booster strategy, should I say, was to use my 12th man in match day one. And that's exactly what I've done. We did a comparison of the Bayern Munich midfielders, didn't we? I think it's worth targeting Bayern Munich and against Auckland in this first match day. And I identified that Musiala was my second favourite Bayern Munich midfielder. The only thing that might change that is if Sane remains at less than 5% owned, and I think he's got a good chance of starting. If that happens, I might change to him just for that 2 bonus points. But right now, I think the 12th man is on Musiala. I can't really ignore Bayern Munich playing Auckland City. I think Neuer, Elise, Kane is a great triple up, and then Musiala as my 12th man. So yeah, that's my team. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed that video and found it useful. If you did and you liked my team, please leave me a like rating on the video. Let me know in the comments if there's any players I've ignored or not even thought about that you think I should pick. I always say this about fantasy football. You know, the game is all about different opinions, right? If we all had the same opinion, we'd all have the same team and the game would be really boring, and we don't want that. So if you've got a different opinion to me, I'd be happy to hear it. Just be polite in the comments. And yeah, if you haven't already, want to see more Club World Cup content from me, there'll be plenty more coming out before the tournament starts and during it. You can subscribe to the Golden Goal channel. It should be just here on your screen. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next video.